Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be on a very personal subject, and with transracial adoption in mind, this is a very vital subject, but often uncomfortable to talk about. Now, I'm a transracial adoptee, adopted at 4 years old, raised from my adopted parents from infancy. They fostered me until 4. They were white, and unfortunately, they were not the most cultural competent people. I was told that race didn't matter, that color didn't matter, and this is nothing malicious that they did. They just really believed that that equaled equality, and that would be the best thing for me at that time, but it was not. And in this video, I want to go over what the difference between races and ethnicity is, and what racism is and white privilege, to hopefully reach other people in transracially adoptive homes, whether you're a white adoptive parent or a transracial child, just to help you and provide resources. There'll be a bunch of resources in the description box below, but personally, I know firsthand, being raised in Georgia in an all-white neighborhood in a racist part of Georgia, what racism can do to your identity and self-esteem and confidence. And personally, I almost took my own life because of it, and nobody was around to advocate for me. There was no racial mentors. There was no brothers or sisters for me. And personally, my transracial adoption was extremely, extremely isolating. And I just don't want anybody else to go through something like I did. So this is to help others, not to point any fingers or condemn or be malicious towards anybody. This is for educational purposes only and my lived experience. So, all right, my AirPods died while I was filming, so coming back again. In our society, race and color does matter. Race is defined as a subjective and socially constructed concept used to categorize and stratify people. In most places, race assessment is based on physical markers such as skin color, hair, and is presumed to reflect on common biological ancestry. Ethnicity is also a social construct, but defined as of or relating to large groups of people classed according to common racial, national, tribal, linguistic, of cultural origin or background. Cultural competency can be defined as the ability to respect, engage, and understand individuals who have different cultural or belief systems, where the elements of culture include, but are not limited to, age, ethnicity, gender identity, gender expression, geographic location, language, political status, race, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, tribal affiliation, and religion. Racism is the belief that certain people by birth and nature are superior to others. Discrimination based on race, the capacity to withhold access to rights or resources based on race. 4 levels of racism. Cultural racism exists when there is widespread societal acceptance of stereotypes which may lead to either positive or negative beliefs about different racial and ethnic groups. Institutional racism refers to specific policies and or procedures of institutions which consistently result in unequal treatment for particular groups. Examples include of overuse of psychotropic medication and overuse of congregate care. Interpersonal racism involves discrimination between individuals and their private or public roles. In their private or public roles, acts such as social exclusion, stigmatization, harassment, or threats, and unfair treatment are all examples of interpersonal racism. Internalized racism occurs when a marginalized racial population accepts or internalizes the negative social beliefs and stereotypes about themselves. Now, getting into the uncomfortable topic, what is white privilege? White privilege is a form of racism that both underlies and is distinct from institutional and overt racism, and benefits groups of people with systemic rights and unearned privileges. The resources are going to be in the description box below if you are white and you do not believe you have white privilege. This isn't to be condemning or anything, or not malicious. This is genuinely to help other transracial children being adopted by white people. The best you can do is learn the best interests of your transracial adopted child. And to do that, sometimes we have to look at ourselves in the mirror, especially look at our own skin color and our own biases. And this is just educational purposes only. This is to help children of color living with white adopted parents that may not understand race. Resources, there's one that's called, I highly recommend you check it out. It's a PDF called White Privilege, Unpacking the Invisible Knapsack by Peggy McIntosh. That's a really good one. I really personally hope you check out. So an example of white privilege in the past is bank loans and housing practices called redlining. Redlining is the practice of denying people access to credit because of where they live, even if they are personally qualified for loans. Historically, mortgage lenders once widely redlined core urban neighborhoods and black populated neighborhoods in particular. The 1968 Fair Housing Act outlawed racially motivated redlining and tasked federal financial regulators, including the Federal Reserve, with enforcement. Historical and intergenerational trauma is important to learn if you're a transracial adopted parent. The effects of experiences of a people are manifest in future generations. If you are parenting an at-risk transracial child, it is important to learn their cultural trauma history, the implications of that history, and the effects of the collective trauma on the culture. Native Americans in particular have endured colonization, relocation to reservations from their native lands, genocide, children taken from their families and sent to boarding schools, and later being taken from their families and placed in white foster and adoptive homes. They are 10 times more likely to attempt to unalive themselves over biological kept children. This is for adopted Native American children. That is wild. That should not be that high. That is insane. Today, tribes are allowed to meet the permanency needs of their children while honoring their own tribal values, providing a kinship network while maintaining the child's safety, well-being, and mental health. Now, African Americans have endured slavery, abduction from their native lands, loss of their native language, destruction of their cultures, separation of families, prohibition against reading or learning, the Jim Crow era, and to this day, institutional racism. Now, this is a brief overview of race and ethnicity and what white privilege is. There's a lot more to learn, but if you want to do your own research, a lot of resources will be in the description box below. There's a questionnaire on if you are white and you don't think you have white privilege, you can go through that. It's not going to hurt. It's not going to do any damage, but it's just for raising awareness, especially if you have a child of color in your house. I really hope this video helps, and I'll see you in the next video.